10 random magic cards rated day number 118. It's like a preview video, but with cards that they've already printed a long time ago and sometimes not so long ago. Brand new camera angle for this one. Let me know how you feel about it. I'm extra bald in this one. What's the first card of the day? It's Haunted Cloak from Shadows over Innistrad. Baby, 3 mana for an equipment that equips for 1. The equipped creature has Vigilance, Trample, and Haste. So this is in Shadows over Innistrad. I've completely forgotten about it now. No idea this existed. I mean, I did at some point. It was in my brain. Gone. This is 3 keyword abilities, though. A little bit of a upfront cost there, but the actual equip cost, it's not that bad, man. I'm giving every dude you play haste for the rest of the game. Trample's a good ability, I guess. Good smattering of abilities. Smattering? This is kind of okay. 4.6. Nice. It's probably slightly too high, to be honest. That's a little bit too high of a score, but I actually kind of like it. It's all right for equipment stacks and stuff. Evernight Shade is our what was that? Evernight Shade is our card number 2 of the day. This is actually pretty cool art by Nick Klein here. This is 4 mana, 3 and a black for a 1/1 Shade. You can pay a black and it gets +1/+1 till end of turn. This is weirdly, this is also from an Innistrad set. Maybe we'll get nothing but Innistrad cards today. That would be very weird. What are the chances? So back when black creatures could do this, it was pretty common to see this, like all the time. This card's not good. It's just, I'm sorry, little guy. I do like black creatures that can pump, though. I have a special place in my heart for them. But it doesn't make them any better. Like, practically. It's not very good. So we'll put a 2.1 on this little man. Sorry, bud. What's next? Balefire Liege. Okay, so we do break our streak here of Innistrad stuff. Originally printed in Eventide. This is 5 mana, 2 and 3 Boros hybrids for a 2/4 Spirit Horror. Other red creatures you control get +1/+1. Other white creatures you control get +1/+1. Whenever you play a red Whenever you play a red spell, Balefire Liege deals 3 damage to target player there. Whenever you play a white spell, you gain 3 lives. So this is actually really sweet. It's a nice little dude here. He's about $1. If you get the list printing, he's less than $1, but only by a little bit. You might as well get the old one. You might as well just pull the old wallet out, buy the old one, baby. It's only $1.10. This is a good little card, though. But you have to be in a pretty specific kind of Boros, like commander deck for this to work out for you. You want to have some creatures. You also kind of want to be playing some burn. You know what I'm saying? Like a little bit. But I don't know. Maybe you play red creatures that deal damage when they come into play. There's like a bunch of those, right? So that'd be kind of cool. And then white spells gaining you life. Maybe you get some life gain triggers there, but I don't think that's the strongest part of the card. But double anthem effects makes your spells deal damage. I don't know, that's good. That's all good. A little bit on the upfront cost is a little bit high. The stats aren't very good for what you're actually paying for it, but like, it's still pretty good. I'm going to give this a solid 5.0. No. Yeah, sure. 5.09. Sure, let's do that. I think that's what you deserve, Balefire. You're a good card, though. You are a good card. Next is Rust Elemental. Not a very good card. Only printed in Mirrodin. This is fun art by Arnie Swinkle here, or Arnie Sweekle. This is 4 mana for a 4/4 artifact creature elemental with flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack an artifact other than Rust Elemental. If you can't tap Rust Elemental, you're going to lose yourself 4 life. It's pretty bad. 4 mana, 4/4 flyer with downside. Let's go. Any deck can play it, though. But, there's that. I'm going to throw a 3 on this bad. No, let's put a 2.8 on this guy right here. I think he's pretty lame. All things considered. Sorry, man. Sorry. We did just hit that awesome Boros guy. What's the next card in Magic history? What's it going to be? Blast from the Past. You're an uncard, but it is from the first unset. So I will forgive it slightly, but it still doesn't count. It's actually Nissa Revan from Zendikar over here. It's still about $5 to get your hands on. 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for a 2 loyalty planeswalker. Yuck. You can +1 Nissa here to search your library for a card named Nissa's Chosen. Put it on the battlefield, shuffle up. You can also +1 Nissa to gain 2 life for each elf you control. Hey, that's why you're $5. Or you can -7 her to search your library for any number of elf creature cards and put them onto the battlefield. Shuffle up your library, so that's kind of cute. Even with doubling season and Innkeeper's talent and stuff, though, this is still well short of being able to ultimate when it comes into play if you're able to double the number of loyalty counters on it. They knew what they were doing even way back then in Zindi. This is actually really good Nissa art. It looks like Nissa to me. 4 mana is not too much to ask, and you get like a double Well-Wisher effect for +1. That's pretty good, even if it costs more than it costs twice what Well-Wisher costs. But what is this card Nissa's chosen over here? 2 green mana for a 2/3. If it be put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put it on the bottom of its owner's library instead. Cute. I can see how that's somewhat cute. Do you put it on the battlefield or in your hand? Yeah, you put it in the battlefield. That's like kind of okay, but you only have a few of them. Of course, if one dies, it goes on bottom, and you go get it with Nissa again. It's fine. But not the best thing in the world, but it does protect her. It is a mode of protecting her. But in Commander, you only ever have one of those, But I think in Commander, it's these last couple of modes here. If you ever get to the ultimate, you win the game, and the +1 is kind of busted. So I'm going to put a 5.37 on Nissa Revan here. Not bad. The second +1 is especially ridiculous, I think, some of the time in Elves decks. But next is Thieving Sprite from Lorwyn. A lot of Lorwyn stuff today. We got Eventide too. But Thieving Sprite is a card that I really like. 3 mana, 2 and a black for a 1/1 fairy rogue with flying. When it comes into play, target player reveals X cards from his or her hand, X being the number of fairies you control. You choose one of those cards, that player discards that card. This was played in some fairies decks way back when I was actually trying to be a real standard player, going to Pro Tour qualifiers and stuff like that. There was a big, discussion around whether or not you put Thieving Sprite in your deck, and ultimately Thieving Sprite lost that battle. It was a 4 of in some decks for a while. It was a 2 of in some decks for a while, and then it kind of got shaved completely when we realized we are nothing but a tempo deck. So this had a place for a minute, but you could argue that it was never actually quite good enough for fairies. But it is a card I'm always going to like. 4.4, something like that. It's not terrible. It's really not. Usually you play it on curve, and it's supposed to look at 3 cards from your opponent's hand. The problem is they still get to keep their best cards unrevealed. So it comes off the top of your library, and it's not as good later on in the game some of the time. But I've still always liked this card. I guess the problem is you're paying 3 mana for a 1/1, and you don't want to do that. But next, yes, Jor-El, Monvuli Recluse. This is great. This lady's great. When were you originally printed? I feel like it was a core set. Yeah, core set 2021. That makes sense. 2 mana, 1 and a green for a 1/2 legendary human druid. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a 2/2 green cat creature token. You can also pay 6 mana, 4 and 2 green. Until end of turn, creatures you control have base PT XX, X being the number of cards in your hand. Don't be an idiot. Don't accidentally... Don't think that it works a different way and activate it and all your guys are 0/0s. Don't do it. I love this lady. I really do, man. You can activate it or trigger it on your opponent's turns if you draw enough cards. It's one of the rare green cards that cares about drawing cards, right? We have green cards that draw cards, but a card in green, mono green even, that cares about you having drawn cards is fairly rare. And I've always liked this card, whether it's a commander or more likely a member of the 99. This card's also shown up in multiple cubes that I've done. We're still waiting to kind of get out the mono green cube. She is also in that because she provides a dimension that green decks don't often see. So she's like perfect in mono green cube. You're trying to give some variance to the different options that people can draft up. I just love this card. It hasn't been around for too long when you think about it, only a few years, but I've already got a long history with Jor-El. This is my favorite version of her. She's super awesome. She's from, the Mirage plane. I love that about it. I love Mirage. Any chance I get to tell you, I will tell you. It's really, she makes cats, she was in Cat Cube as well. So yeah, just beautiful, wonderful, amazing card here that I think is kind of underrated. I do. They printed it so often now that obviously people are doing stuff with it. But I really think that this is one of the cooler green 2-drops ever printed because it just doesn't do what a green 2-drop usually does. I feel like I'm going to give Jor-El the honorary 5 of the day because I do fear I'd have to rate her slightly lower than that. But I think there's some people in the comments probably give this a 5.4 or something like that. But like I said, I think I'll stick with honorary 5 because sometimes Sometimes this is going to be confusing. An honorary 5 can be better than a 5.1. Sometimes. I think if you followed the series long enough, you might know that. you may have sussed it out. You know, there's vibes here. But yeah, I'll give this lady a 5. I think she's great. Next is Volley of Boulders, originally printed in Odyssey. Look at that frame. Look how much better it looks. Look at that. New frame, old frame. I think it looks better. This is 9 mana, 8 and a red for a sorcery that deals 6 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. You can flash it back for 6 red mana, but that means it's actually cheaper to cast if you like mill it into your yard than it is if you just play it. 9 mana is like so much, dude. But you do get to go dome with this. I guess there's that. I don't remember this card. I played some during Odyssey block. And I cannot remember this being relevant at the very least. I didn't open a lot of packs of Odyssey. But I kind of do like, 6 damage for 6 mana. And you can mill it, kill somebody that way if you have enough mana. But, if you have enough mana. Probably not good enough in your burn deck. Probably not good enough in Big Red. But I will take 6 damage. Almost any way I can take it, I will take 6 damage. Still, just like worse than Lava Axe. And like in most like situations, just worse than Lava Axe. And that is not company you necessarily want to be in. So I'm going to say a 4. Yeah, it costs too much. It costs too much. But like you resolve it, and I guess it does some things. It's like a one-sided sweeper, sort of. It's like by the time you get to it, you probably leave too much behind for it to be a one-sided sweeper. But it could be pretty decent. But it isn't. So it's like 9 times out of 10, it's not very good. Rots in your hands, garbage. Let's look next. That's Sarah Avatar, one of the classic like trap cards. God, I love this thing though. I really do. This is one of my favorite cards from Urza Saga because I was a big old Mark. I was a big old Timmy back in the day, man. It's Larian Academy. Yeah, I guess if you have a bunch of artifacts, that's stupid though. How many artifacts you gonna have? It's Sarah Avatar. My life total is always 20. So this is a 2020. It's not, though. In case you've never read this card, it's 7 mana, 4 and 3 white for an avatar that has star power and toughness. And those stars are equal to your life total. When it's put into a graveyard, you shuffle it into, its owner's library. So unless it gets back then especially, unless it gets hit by Swords to Plowshares specifically, you will always shuffle it back in. The problem with that is you're lucky to get to it in the first place. So if they kill it, you shuffle it back in, you never see it again. When you playing 4 Sarah Avatar? No, you're not going to do that. You're going to play 1. This is technically a win condition for control decks. Blue-white control tried to use this card, but it's just bad. It's just not. It wasn't good competitively, but it's still Timmy bait for a lot of us, man. We love this card. You can get versions of it for 30 cents, but the original Urza Saga one's $4 because that's the only one that anyone who remembers the card is going to buy. It's the Urza Saga one. It's going to be the only one with any movement whatsoever. I really wish I hadn't have already doled out the honorary 5, but I think it's actually a fun lesson to give a real score to this card and not cower behind the honorary 5, as I am wont to do so often. I love you, Sarah Avatar. You're part of my Magic history. You really are. You excited me in a way that a lot of cards from Urza Saga didn't, which is a wild thing to say, right? Cradle? When you're talking about Gaia's Cradle, I have 7 creatures out. No, you have to have 2 creatures out for that card to be busted. And most people have 3, so it's just absolutely stupid. I wish I still had my Cradle. I had 2 Cradles back then, and they're gone. They're gone. What is that? $7,000? It's not that much, but still. I've got to stop. I've got to stop and actually do this card. Sarah Avatar, you get a 4.16. Yeah. 4.16 is the case that I'm giving it. I'm sorry. I love you, bud. I love you. I love you. See you later. See you later. I'll miss you. Until then. Until next time. Next is Threaten over here. Oh, good old Threaten. And they gave us the Onslaught one, the original printing of the card. How much is the foil one from 9th edition? There is no price. That's crazy. The foil one from 10th is 76 cents. That's not much. But anyway, in case you somehow have never seen Threaten, it's so prevalent. We call effects like this Threaten effects. that's how much like the pedigree this card has. This is 3 mana, 2 and a red for a sorcery. Untap target creature and gain control of it until end of turn. That creature gains haste till end of turn. It's this effect. Weirdly, in case you didn't know this effect used to be blue for the longest time. Ray of Command and a couple of other cards like Ray of Command got printed in blue, and then suddenly I guess the designers were like, this effect is definitely more red than blue. I don't know, when you think about it, like from a perspective of what all the colors should do, like mind magic, take control of your guy or whatever, like blue, that makes sense, right? But I guess red does it in a different way, right? Like red threatens the guy, like unwilling conscription of some kind. And that is much more red. So kudos to the designers for figuring it out, because the effect does feel more at home and more useful in red. What do you give the original Threaten? This is like another one where it's like honorary 5 would make sense for a card like this, because I don't think it's a 5, especially with all the strictly better sort of Threaten effects that have been printed at 3 mana that do what Threaten does and like something else. We've gotten a few over the years. So this has definitely lost some stock, but it's still a decent card to play sometimes in like Rakdos, Sack decks, and Commander. He's like, pluck their guy and then sacrifice it to a thing. It's all good. So I think Threaten is probably like a 4.32 or no, yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. 4.32. That makes sense to me. Since I made y'all wait like so long today, bonus card. Can we get a bonus card? Are you guys ready for a bonus card? It's Shatter Storm. Shatter Storm originally printed in the old way back. This is a 4 mana, 2 and 2 red for a sorcery. Destroy all artifacts, they can't be regenerated. The red Wrath of God. You see, it was a cycle. It is in fact a cycle, I guess. So red gets to blow up all the artifacts. White gets to blow up all the creatures. One of those is definitely better than the other. You know what I mean? But I guess this was originally printed in Antiquities. I just associate this with like Alpha Beta Unlimited revised and stuff, but that's because I've mostly seen it in revised edition. But this is from Antiquities. When you put it in the context of Antiquities, we didn't have limited. We didn't draft, I guess, back then. I bet some people did, but we didn't in an official capacity. Yeah, Shatter Storm's pretty good. It's like, what is it, 70 some odd % of the cards in Antiquities are artifacts. That seems like a good safety valve to a card to have. But Shatter Storm still can do some work. It can, people play a lot of artifacts in Commander. And especially if people have a lot of expensive, nice artifacts, they play their Soul Ring into their Grim Monolith, into their Mox. I don't know what they're doing, People have a lot of good artifacts, and Shatter Storm can be great for kind of kneecapping their ramp or whatever. I'm still a believer in Shatter Storm. In Commander, it'll usually be, more than a 1-for-1 for sure. So I don't think it's that bad. Interrupting your plan a little bit to play it. Maybe you can't play so many mana rocks, and you don't love that, I got my Soul Ring this game. I don't know how good my Shatter Storm's going to be. So, you're kind of kneecapping yourself too sometimes in terms of how you're going to build your deck. But man, Mark Poole did every Magic card back in the day, didn't he? Every art is by Mark Poole. Mark Poole, Melissa Benson, Anson Maddox, Pete Venters, Douglas Schuler. Those are the 5. Those are the 5 guys. Jesper Meifers, I guess. Quinn Hoover. Yeah, there's a few. But anyway, where am I? Shatter Storm is every card today is like honorary 5 territory. But I actually think Shatter Storm I'm going to give a 5.34. The ceiling on this is actually incredibly high. Insanely high. There will be boards where you Shatter Storm and you like 9-for-1. So, give it a shot. If you didn't know Shatter Storm existed, we do have a Wrath of God for artifacts. But anyway, that is all I've got for today. Wow, we made it to a solid 19 minutes. Sorry about that. I love you all, and I'll see you tomorrow. Vote. Bye.